Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. This is part two. Before I get into the last 2 points, I'd like to point out that, there's a lot of nice people from various races. I have a duty to God to tell the truth and to, seal the world out of heaven after my flesh dies. But, people haven't been, not everyone has been evil to the best of their ability or something. So there's a lot of nice people from various races. People have been friendly and cool at times. There's a lot of nice food, Asian food, Hispanic food from all the cultures in the world. Indian food. We can go on and on about the different types of food there, different types of Asians, different types of Hispanics, different types of people. Black, white, you name it. French, and on and on and on. We go on and on. I'm not a racist person. I was engaged to a white female who's part Italian, part Greek. Okay, ironically, there's that Greco-Roman, right? My mother's white. There's white people in my family. I'm part white. From my understanding, I'm part Jewish as well. Okay. I know there's some gay people out there that respect me. There's gay people I've been on good terms with in the comments, in my videos. I'm not a racist person. I'm a very kind-hearted, very loving person. I feel righteous indignation a lot because of all the evil in the world, but it's derived from true love and what have you. Okay, so point number 4. If people leave it at all races are equal and all people are equal, and they fail to make the distinction between the African tree that brought forth Martin Luther King Jr. and others, like the people who sabotage righteous people their whole lives, people that are child molesters their whole lives, people who are the average jock their whole lives, and people who are just drug addicts their whole lives. To not highlight that the spectrum of black African men and their mulatto offspring go further is to discriminate against them for not being the same race as everyone else. On top of this, what group is more sabotaged than black African people? People of black African descent. To truly highlight that righteousness is greater than wealth is to make it so that attractive females do not shun me on my way out, as I am clearly the last righteous person ever possible. Okay? And it also includes a component of highlighting that the spectrum of black Africans went beyond other races, other groups. That includes groups of black people. Not all black people are righteous to the same degree. So you might say it's a sub-racial argument. That isn't quite the case. If we have a tribe that's very diverse, for example, and a bunch of diverse people join my martial arts society and they start conveying righteousness more than everyone else on the planet. Hell, there could be people there who are albino or from other places. Might even be white people there. Then that group goes beyond other people. And as they kind of marry each other's family members, what have you, right? Martial is marital scrambled. They start forging their own group. So it's a generational righteousness-based argument. And it happens to be this black African group. Okay? But those who obey the commands of God are my family. Not the flesh. Not necessarily my immediate family or extended family, but those who obey the commands of God. We also see that whites, Jews, and LGBT people and token minorities sought to confuse this. There are minorities who would be absolutely pissed that I'm making this video. Absolutely. There are Igbos who would be very upset. They would say, how dare you say this? You're making it harder for us. What have you? Some of them have very strong ties to not only white people, but to white supremacy. Some have very strong ties to Jewish supremacy and to LGBT movements. I was thinking earlier today, I was thinking out loud, I was thinking about how I've known like hundreds of people in California, hundreds of people, okay? Over 60 of them gang members, or somewhere around 60 gang members, acquaintances, friends, and not a single person stands with me. I don't have a strong relationship with a single person anymore. The closest thing to it is my parents. And I'm 43 years old. I've hung out with them. I party with them. I've gone to church with them, gone to school with them, you name it. stood by them in a brawl, what have you, roll with them, talked deeply with them, got drunk with them, broke bread with them, friends of family, friends of girlfriends, on and on and on and on. But because society thinks a certain way, it has to do with the things I'm talking about in this 2-part series, not a single one of them stands with me. And because society does not want people to look up to a person of black African descent, okay, from black African patriarchal line, they don't want people to see me as above other people. And so even all these, almost all of them, less than rich people. Some gang members, very poor. Some Hispanic gang members, black gang members. You see how that works? Okay. Point number 5. When it comes to dating, only an idiot would think that righteousness shouldn't come out on top, and that the most attractive females shouldn't date based on righteousness. In reality, no matter what, they should date based on righteousness. The words rape and race are connected for a reason, and for this reason. It reminds me of the phrase maritime admiralty law. It is a occult saying. It has to do with, the law of the high seas, which goes back to pirates. The word pirate is rape is scramble. What are the odds that the law of the high seas in regards to maritime admiralty law is called that? Maritime, Mary. Only that the Virgin Mary, right? Who's divine? Who prefers who? Maritime. When it's time to marry, right? Martial is marital scrambled, right? The Navy has a connection to war arts, which is connected to martial arts. Maritime admiralty, admiration. Law. And the word law is wall, scrambled. Social barriers, cultural barriers. Maritime admiralty law-based barriers. That law is not necessarily directly pointing to dating, but it's indirectly very much connected to dating. Even the tax rate is indirectly or otherwise connected to dating. Who pays what taxes and why, how the taxes are used. Okay, it's all part of the maritime admiralty law. There's also heaven's mandate. So when we see this trickery-based rape, this rape by deception in mass, it's organized, right? It is because trickery-based rape is the main form of rape for a reason. This also connects to trickle-down economics and the reason why many females have been called tricks. Now, logic would tell you that if 75 trillion in the last 80 years or 100 years or whatever Bernie Sanders said has been transferred from the poor to the rich, $75 trillion, and for the last 80 or 100 years in its sum total form, we've had a trickle-down economic system. Did it trickle down and create all kinds of opportunity and solve all kinds of problems? No. That's why we have like 800,000 homeless people in America. That's why we have like somewhere around $37 trillion in debt. Instead of people investing in communities, in startup companies that are the most viable and getting people to support them, instead of people building rehabs and stuff like this to really get this nation rolling, rich people have been hoarding money, creating inflation. There's a demand for money in regards to people hoarding money. There's lots of money just sitting around in banks. Money isn't flowing a certain way. It's like owning a farm and you buy a bunch of shovels, okay, and you're just sitting around, riding a bunch of farming equipment. Why aren't you using it to create something and to get this thing started? But they're just kind of using it and they're hoarding it and they're saying, hey, if we just kind of use it and hoard it, then we can kind of whore women. That's why the word whore and hoard are connected, as is the word horrible. That's a horrible thing to do, to hoard and then to whore everyone and say, ha, you were whored. And is race a part of it? You betcha. All these civil rights acts, one was like in 59, another one was in 64, 65. We used to cite these all the time. Hey, Martin Luther King was killed in 68. Race is a huge problem still. And so this kind of rape by deception is connected to a sort of race by deception. Your conception of race comes from deception. Thank you.